So, real-world Wi-Fi security for 2023. Oh no, not another talk on security. All we've heard today is security and Wi-Fi 6 and E. So I thought, let's make this a bit more fun. Let's make it security that you can use and explain to a 11 or 12-year-old. So let's make it security for Wi-Fi wizards. All right? So please don't rush out and make changes. What's the premise of my talk? We are not paranoid enough, okay? Mrs. Gump, you can't fix stupid. We need to be more paranoid and more prepared because there are monsters that are out there. So let's talk about muggles. Muggles are the people who don't believe in the magic. You're all Wi-Fi wizards. I don't want to call anybody a Wi-Fi witch because that might be insulting, but you get the idea, right? So we need to understand the magic of Wi-Fi. We need to understand the magic of the security of Wi-Fi. So first of all, what I'm going to show you now, what I'm going to talk about now, Galinda from The Wizard of Oz. Are you a good witch or are you a bad witch? It's your choice. You can use these tools to test your environment, or you can use these tools to attack a government building and probably end up in prison for an awful long time. So be careful what you do, right? So we need to learn all the spells and the counter spells that the muggles have taken from the magical world to do Wi-Fi attacks. So first of all, there's Accio. Okay? You can just, with Wi-Fi, Fluxion, Airgeddon, and Wi-Fi Pumpkin, you can Accio passphrase, and you can get people's passphrase. Imperio. This is one of the unforgivable curses, right? It puts the target under the control of the caster. So that, of course, is person in the middle attacks. Get it? You've got distributed denial of service, or denial of service, the Crucio, another unforgivable one. You can just simply send a lot of data against something, or you can cleverly attack things and stop them from working, some kind of denial of service. You can do the worst one of all, of course, the I can't even say it, that one, because it's the de-authentication attack. It kills clients on the network, kills them dead. But there are some spells we can use to defend ourselves from the enemy. Impervious. It makes something impervious, which of course is going to be 802.MW, right? Obscuro, encryption. And notice there's only one thing in there, AES, the end. There's other things out there, but that's the one to use. Of course, Expelliarmus will disarm your adversary. That's kind of like a wireless intrusion protection system. Protects us from the bad things and the bad spells. And then, of course, there's a VPN. Expecto Patronum. Powerful projection of hope and happiness that drives away dementors. Hooray. So you should always use a VPN when you're outside the office, except when you're at home, Phil, right? You should always use a VPN when you're outside the office. How secure is your home network? Is your office 802.1x authenticated with a Radius server using WPA3 Enterprise, but your home is pre-shared key? How many times have you heard today that pre-shared key is very easy to break? A couple of people on my boot camp, who's on the deep dive? Give us a wave. You will break WPA2 Enterprise today. Now, I've got to stop there because Tor's about to stand up and shout to me. My good friend Tor, who knows all about security things. We are not breaking WPA2 Enterprise. We are social engineering people. And it's unfair calling them stupid because most companies today say, please onboard your new system, accept this trust certificate. Okay, but don't ever trust a trust certificate. Okay, and they go somewhere one day and they see, oh, there's a new trust certificate. But it looks like the old one. Sure, I'll trust it. And now we own them, right? We can get into their network. So, credit due, that's where we got the spells from. So, how does this transition into security? How does security work with this and what does it mean? Okay, so first of all, apologies to all those people who put a Q code on the screen, right? If Keith puts a Q code on the screen, QR code, you're probably okay. But if you go to a restaurant, who was there in the restaurant the other night? QR codes on the table. Hackers are going out now and they're putting stickers on top of QR codes in restaurants because people will take a photo of the QR code. Right? I need to explain something very important to you. I wanted to do something and legal said you are under no circumstances are you allowed to do it. I wanted you all, so don't do this. And there's probably a good chance 10% of you will. I wanted you to click the following QR code, okay? And it's not going to do anything evil, but Legal said that it's my responsibility for whatever happens, so they said no. So let me do it, all right? So watch this, right? I'm going to click on the QR code. All right? Now, that's it. That's it. I now have malware on my phone because I clicked the QR code. Again, if it's on a screen here, you're probably not going to get infected by anybody presenting here. But if you're walking down the street and see your favorite band advertised on a lamppost, don't click the QR code, all right? Okay. So if you point it and click, that's all it takes for malware to be installed on your computer. It's very easy and very simple to do. Now, Wi-Fi is safe. I would say it's safer than Ethernet in some circumstances. Pause for dramatic effect. Let me emphasize, when it's configured correctly. And that is a big when. That's very important, okay? A quick overview. You're broadcasting frames out there. So everybody and anybody can pick up your frames. Not Ethernet broadcast, wireless broadcast. Just because you can't hear your signal outside your building doesn't mean that I can't hear the signal with my device outside your building, because I've got a bigger antenna, right? The boogeyman is out there. There are monsters we need to be protected from. Werner Vogel said, dance like nobody's watching, but encrypt like everybody is. And I'm going a bit fast because I always have too many slides, always do, right? I'm not going to give you lots and lots of details. Other people have done it already today. Essentially, there are two ways to use wireless: with security, without security, right? What do you mean without security? Guest networks, we all do it. Use captive portals, love them or hate them, that's an option. Now, you've learned already, you're ahead of me now, because you know today what other options we have to make wireless more secure, because we've talked about it a lot today. WPA2, okay? Two ways to use WPA2, personal or enterprise. Real simple. If you use the one on the left with the four-way handshake, do I have a magic? No, never mind. On the left with the red four-way handshake, that is the only security you have. If you go down the right path without security, you do not have any security, all right? There's nothing. So everything's in plain text. You have a pre-shared key to take a passphrase. The passphrase is mixed 4,096 times with the SSID. That creates something called the pre-shared key. Personal is perfectly safe. Pause for dramatic effect. When configured correctly, as long as you... Now, I'm not going to ask you all to hold your hands up or anything, but you think to yourselves, do you change your passwords every 30 days? Do you change the password when someone leaves the company? Do you use a serious length complexity? Yes, Phil, I use 12 characters in my password. These are very inconvenient, and I skipped the slide at the beginning where I say, if ever I say it's inconvenient, inconvenience is a hacker's best friend. Okay? That's what makes hacking things easy, the fact that it's inconvenience to keep them safe. The four-way handshake, not going to go anywhere near that other than say it's very important. It takes the pre-shared key, or the MSK if you use an 802.1x enterprise, and creates something called a PMK. The PMK is the granddaddy key that creates all the other keys. The PTK at the very bottom there, on the left and the right, they are unique keys, so you get a per user, per session key. The problem, I think JJ mentioned this and somebody else did as well. The problem with the PMK is, if you're using a pre-shared key network, everyone's got the same PSK, everyone's got the same PMK. So I can capture your data and decode it, okay? There are other options out there. I call this IT pre-shared key. Only the IT has the pre-shared key, and they're the only people that onboard it onto your computer system. It's a great idea. It makes life easier. You've got to take your computer down to be onboarded and offboarded, but it's still inconvenient. MPSK, multiple PSKs, called different things by different vendors. It's a great idea. Everybody got their own PSK. If they leave, delete their PSK. Now, you should have picked up the hint. I'm sure it was Wes that said this. It's a great idea in WPA2. Okay, WPA3, not so much. 802.1x EAP radius is, of course, what I think is one of the safest things. But I think JJ mentioned today that it cannot be that secure if it's not configured correctly. WEP is more secure than 802.1x EAP if you don't validate the certificate when it's given to you. A lot of people don't understand that. I use 802.1x EAP with certificate validation, maybe, not safe. So arguably the safest mode of Wi-Fi security today When configured correctly. Can you all say it with me? When configured correctly, right? Get it tattooed on your arm, it's very important. The main problem with enterprise is that it allows a user to say, that certificate you just gave me, okay, I'm going to trust it, and I'm going to add this network, I'm going to add this certificate to my network, which allows hackers to go out and create false APs and fool users to connect to them. Excuse me. Shout out to the Pixel here. We discovered in our bootcamp that iPhones, Macs, Windows, older Androids will gladly let you say, yes, install the new certificate. And the Google Pixel went, now hold on a second, that's a stupid thing to do, I'm not letting you do it. But that's what we have to do. We as the infrastructure, have to stop people making stupid decisions, right? And the Google Pixel, we tried our best. It's like, nope, I'm not letting you install this new certificate. So there are systems coming out now from vendors that will stop this happening. Again, remember the four-way handshake, okay? If you use WPA2 Enterprise, every time you connect, you get a unique MSK, so you always get a unique PMK. Yay. So WPA3, I'm not going to say any more. You've learned enough today. Magical unicorns, it's great, it's awesome, it's super duper, it fixes the problems with WPA2, right? What's wrong with WPA2? Well, it's nearly 20 years old. Very susceptible to de-auths. Four-way handshake attacks. Passwords can be cracked offline. Once I know your pre-shared key, I own you. Okay, and crack has been mentioned already. I got them the wrong way around, obviously. This is a download you can get that shows you the strength of a certain passphrase that you can enter in. Now, there's also websites that do that for you. Great websites where you can go and test how secure your password is. Is your password on the dark web? Enter it here. Click. No, it's safe. Well, it is now, right? Because you just typed it in. People fall. I've seen rocket scientists and mathematic geniuses fall for that. Because people dumb down when it comes to technology they don't understand. And we've got to keep the users safe from this. And the other thing I want to point out here is, I used to mine Ethereum. Don't make any money on it anymore. But an old Ethereum miner with 7 NVIDIA graphics cards is really, really good at breaking passwords. Okay? And a brute force attack on the password Candy123 in the boot camp with this box. How long? Brute force, not dictionary, brute force. 30 seconds, for real. Now, okay, it's Candy123, capital C. It's just the start of the search end, but 30 seconds, people. That's why you should use like 18, 19, 20, 21 character passwords. Punagotchis. If I had my Punagotchi on me, it just captured all of your home networks, right? Yeah, but you can't get my PSK from that. PMK ID attacks, half handshake attacks. You're not going to learn about these if you're on my deep dive today, so we're going to have loads of fun. Flippers. Anybody who's got a flipper? Yay. Okay. The flipper has a Wi-Fi add-on that will attack Wi-Fi now. I bought it on Friday. I haven't played with it yet, so it'll arrive. I haven't got it working yet. Tomorrow evening at 6 o'clock in the deep dive room I'm in, if anyone wants to come along, Keith has said we can hang around for a bit and we can talk about, I should call them Ponagotchis and flippers. If anyone's interested, come along. Half an hour, whatever. We won't interrupt anybody else's time. Come along and talk to us. If you're interested in what they are, you want to know how to build one, come and see us. How do we fix problems with WPA2? There must be a way to fix it. Well, I'll give you the short version. Use longer passwords. That's it. And that's not a bad thing, okay? My little mining machine takes 30 seconds to get Candy123 brute force, but if I tell it to go and look at a 12-character password, it's like 6 months. If I ask it to look at an 18-character password, it's like 1,000 years or 500,000 years or something, because it's got to go through the entire space. So the longer your password, the better. What about complex? Yeah, complex is good, but longer is better, okay? What do you need to know about WPA3? It uses Diffie-Hellman. It uses elliptic curve Diffie-Hellman. What do you need to know about that? It's better and faster, so you can work on IoT devices. You've already learned about SAE and you've learned about OWE. OWE is opportunistic wireless encryption, which means you get it at your coffee shop whether you want it or not. So WPA3 gives you, I think JJ and Wes talked about this, resistance to offline dictionary attacks, stronger protection against password guessing attempts. Okay? Protection for users using easy passwords. And people will use easy passwords. We can read this later. I'm going to make the slide set available. So basically, WPA3 is what we need and what we should be using. I'm aware of time. So the four-way handshake, we've talked about it. You've seen it a lot. If you've done the CWNA, CWSP, you know about it. Okay? The four-way handshake is what it is. You get the PMK. The problem with WPA2 personnel is the PMK comes directly from the pre-shared key. Okay? So what we do now in WPA3 is I'm not sure the exact operation, but I believe the passphrase is fed in to create some pseudo-random numbers that creates the PMK via the elliptic curve Diffie-Hellman. That's how authentication works. So if you don't have the same passphrase, you won't get the same Diffie-Hellman exchange. Okay? And so the PMK is created. Now everyone, every time they connect, has a unique PMK. Okay? So as JJ said, though, it's very important, there's no authentication here, right? Everybody who has the passphrase can now connect to your network, but they can't decrypt your data. So it's a start. WPA3 Enterprise, it's awesome. In fact, if you turn PMF on WPA2 Enterprise, it's effectively the same as WPA3 Enterprise, which is lovely and wonderful. So just mention this. We now have a third option with WPA3. If you can see him in the middle, the big OWE in the middle. I don't think my mouse, oh, it is, yes. The big OWE in the middle. So you now have completely open security. You have protected security on with personal and enterprise, and you have OWE in the middle, which gives you protection whether you wanted it or not, as long as your hardware supports it, right? And that does an elliptic curve Diffie-Hellman exchange in the association phase to get the PMK. But again, everyone has encryption now if the clients support it. All right, so here's a summary of the options we have available. So my network is safe now, right? Hackers can break all of the following fairly easy. Open networks, WEP, WPA, and WPA2 personnel. Pause for dramatic effect. They can also break them as well. We did it in the boot camp. You're going to have a go at doing it in the deep dive today. Okay? Now, again, pause for dramatic, because some of you don't believe me. Let me add one very important thing. If they are configured incorrectly. If you configure WPA3 personnel in transition mode, I just simply attack it as WPA2. And it goes, okay, and it gives up what it needs to give up. I've been in customer sites where they've obviously listened to Wes and JJ's talks, and they've got a different WPA2 and WPA3 SSID. But they've got the same passphrase, right? WPA3 Enterprise, the users don't know if it's WPA3 Enterprise. So if I set up an AP with WPA2 Enterprise with the same name as the WPA3 Enterprise, when they come into work one day, they can't connect. Now, some users will go to IT support and say the Wi-Fi is not working. Some users smart enough to delete it and try and reinstall it again. And then they get a message saying, oh, it's a new certificate. Looks exactly the same as the old one. Sure, I trust it. And I own them now. Okay? This real easy. I'm going to rush now because we run out of time. So what can we do? Use the webs. Use one, get one, know what's normal, know what's abnormal. Use something like Cisco Umbrella or some kind of DNS resolution service. So when someone inside your building tries to go to nastyhorribleplace.ru or something, it says, no, I'm not allowing that. Use PMF and MFP as soon as possible. I'm really speeding up now. So lessons. Use WPA3 as soon as possible. If you have to use WPA2, because JJ's point, you can't just make everybody do it. Understand it effectively makes everything be WPA2. Okay? Use long passphrases, look at using MPSK. Different frequency, different SSID on each frequency, different SSID for WPA2 and WPA3 clients. Seriously consider TLS-based options, but these are so inconvenient. Microsoft, by the way, just said, stop using MSP. Okay? Very quickly, why haven't you told us about this before? I've got to give a shout out here. Anybody remember Herman at WLPC Budapest? He just told you what I told you. Stop using MSCHAP. I'm aware there's a couple of seconds, Keith. I'll be really quick. You can read these. I just want to mention two things. If you want a photograph taken with a nice Harry Potter wizard, come and find me in, and thank you to my little helpers that helped me, and come and find me if you want a rubber duck. That's it. I'm done.